So, hello everyone. My name is Father Tony Pernia, SVD, and my task this evening is to bring to a close the first part of our National Mission Congress, which is the International Missiology Symposium, by giving a summary of the main talks of the symposium and hopefully arriving at a synthesis which can then be offered as our takeaway from this symposium. And so I will divide my concluding remarks into two parts. First, the summary, and then secondly, the synthesis. So first of all, the summary. The symposium featured three main talks. Father Stephen Bevans, SVD, New Directions of Missio Agentes in the Changing Mission Frontiers of Our Time. Secondly, Father John Christian Young, Missionary Discipleship in the Local Church. And then thirdly, Father Daniel Patrick Huang, SJ, Rethinking Missio Agentes in the Context of the Church in Asia Today. My summary will highlight 3 points from each of these talks. So first, Father Stephen Bevans. First of all, the basic thesis of Father Bevans' talk is that the new direction of mission agentes in our day is to understand it as mission intergentes. And he explains this by contrasting the two terms, mission agentes and mission intergentes. On the one hand, mission intergentes is first of all unidirectional. Mission was a one-way movement from already Christianized countries to those who still needed to hear the gospel or be strengthened in their fragile faith and fragile church structure. From the West to the rest. The emphasis was on the superiority of Western culture, and mission went hand in hand with colonialism, with white privilege, and with racism. Secondly, Missio Agentes is one-way traffic. Mission was what the missionary did for the people. The missionary was the bearer of good news, the people the recipient of the gospel. The missionary was the evangelizer, the people the evangelized. The missionary was the subject and the people the object. The missionary was the preacher of the truth and the people the ones who needed conversion. On the other hand, Missio Intergentes is multi-directional. Mission is from everywhere to everywhere, and by everyone to everyone. Every local church is missionary. Every local church is both mission receiving and mission sending. The gentes are not just those out there, outside us. They are also in here, among us, around us. Secondly, Missio Intergentes is a two-way exchange of gifts between the missionary and the people. Mission is not just what the missionary does for the people, but also what the people can do for the missionary. Mission is not just about the transformation of the people, but also about the transformation of the missionary. And so the missionary gives and receives, speaks and listens, evangelizes and is evangelized, invites to conversion and is converted. Secondly, Father Bevans proceeds to explore two implications of Missio Intergentes. First, mission from the margins. Mission is best done today by women and men of faith who are themselves marginalized. People on the margins of agency and can often see what from the center is out of view. Secondly, mission as presence and friendship. Foundational to mission inter gentes is a listening ear and an open heart that forge deep friendships which lead to the formation of a new people in the world. Thirdly, Father Bevans proposes prophetic dialogue as a way of navigating through this new understanding of mission. Prophetic dialogue represents the two phases in mission, namely, the first phase of dialogue, that is, the phase of listening and paying close attention to a particular situation and context, and discerning therein the needs and problems, the possibilities and opportunities for mission. And the second phase of prophetic action, that is, doing the kind of prophetic action needed in this particular situation or context as discerned in the first phase, whether it be silent witness, direct proclamation, interreligious dialogue, integral liberation, etc. Father Bevans concludes his presentation by saying, "My sense is that the commitment to this new understanding of mission ad gentes as mission inter gentes, done in prophetic dialogue, is the future of mission, one that will bring Filipino Catholicism and Filipino missionary activity, wherever it is done, to real flourishing in the years ahead. May it flourish for the next 500 years." The second talk was from Father John Christian Young, and he begins his presentation by reflecting briefly on the 500 years of Christianity in the Philippines. Throughout these years, the church in the Philippines has developed and grown to maturity. On the other hand, however, he recalls the massacre of the Spaniards by the recently baptized Raja Humabon in Cebu after the victory of Lapu-Lapu in the Battle of Mactan. Father Young makes the observation that this has scarred the church in the Philippines, foreshadowing a history of brokenness and unfaithfulness. But then he says, it is precisely in such brokenness and unfaithfulness that the church in the Philippines is called to missionary discipleship. Here, Father Young makes 3 points. First, the call to missionary discipleship. The call to missionary discipleship is based not on priestly ordination or religious profession, but on baptism. Every baptized Christian is called to be a missionary disciple. The call to discipleship is at the same time a call to mission. There is no split between being disciple and being a missionary. Every disciple is a missionary, and every missionary is a disciple. Father Young refers to Pope Francis's statement in Evangelii Gaudium number 120 that we are not just disciples and missionaries, but rather missionary disciples. However, Father Young observes that for some, there continues to be a split between being disciples and being missionaries. Secondly, Father Young underlines the fact that the local church is the proper locus of missionary discipleship. In the context of Pope Francis's vision of the church as a church of closeness and proximity, Father Young asserts that it is in the local church that this closeness and proximity manifests itself. It is in the local context that the church is most proximate and near to the people. And so it is also in the local church that challenges to mission can be better discerned and responded to. Now, thirdly, Father Young highlights 3 characteristics of missionary discipleship, namely resilience and flexibility, creativity, and continuous learning. These characteristics point to the need to listen to the signs of the times and to be open to change, to the readiness to go beyond the familiar and seek new ways of doing things, and to the lifelong learning of a disciple, for a disciple by definition is a learner. And he says that we cannot respond to the new challenges to mission if we are satisfied with doing the same things in the same way. Father Young concludes his reflection by quoting our national hero, Jose Rizal, "Con el recuerdo del pasado, entro en el porvenir. I enter the future with the memory of the past." This is most appropriate as we bring to a close our celebration of the 500 years of Christianity in the country. Our grateful recollection of the coming of the Christian faith to our shores 500 years ago impels us into the future as missionary disciples of Jesus. The third talk was given by Father Daniel Patrick Huang, S.J. His talk this evening complements the talk of Father Bevans yesterday. Father Huang deals with the same question as Father Bevans, that is, the rethinking of mission ad gentes, but this time in the context of the Asian Church. First of all, Father Wang summarizes the current discussion among missiologists about the proper preposition to use for the mission of the Church, whether ad gentes, to the people, inter gentes, among the people, or cum gentibus, with the people. He groups the different opinions into three: retention, or retaining ad gentes, substitution, or substituting ad gentes with inter gentes, and complementarity, or complementing ad gentes with inter gentes. In the end, Father Wang suggests that this is not the only way of rethinking ad gentes mission, and offers Pope Francis's insights about the missionary church as a way forward out of this ad gentes, inter gentes, cum gentibus debate. And so secondly, Father Wang explores Pope Francis's dream of a missionary church without employing the terminology of ad gentes and inter gentes. Pope Francis's vision of church nevertheless incorporates the insights of both terms. And so that a church that goes out, Chiesa in uscita, this is ad gentes. A church that hears the call to go forth from its comfort zone in order to reach all the peripheries in need of the light of the gospel. It does not wait, but takes the initiative to go out to others, to seek those who have fallen away, to stand at the crossroad, and to welcome the outcast. This is Missio Inter Gentes. Secondly, a church of closeness, listening, and encounter. This is Inter Gentes. A missionary church is one that seeks to become involved by word and deed in people's daily lives, is supportive of people, standing by them at every step of the way. A missionary church is a listening church, listening to the Spirit in adoration and prayer, but also listening to our brothers and sisters as they speak of their hopes and joys, their griefs and pains. A missionary church is one which promotes a culture of encounter that sees diversity not as a menace, but as a good. A society where differences coexist, complementing and enriching one another, even amid disagreements. So this is Mission Inter Gentes. Thirdly, Father Wang focuses on the Asian Church. The Church in Asia is known for its understanding of mission as a triple dialogue with the poor, the cultures, and the Religions of Asia. This was formulated at the first plenary assembly of the FABC in 1974, but the Asia of today has changed and therefore new challenges emerge. First, in terms of dialogue with the poor, in 1974 the challenge was integral liberation. Today, the challenge is the new affluence or prosperity of the Asian continent. Secondly, in terms of dialogue with cultures, in 1974, the challenge was inculturation. Today, the challenge is also the pluralism of choices for Asians, which the new affluence has brought about. And thirdly, in terms of dialogue with religions, in 1974, the challenge was interreligious dialogue. Today, the challenge is also the growth of identity-assertive tribalisms among religious groups in Asia, which lead to demarcations between an in-group and an out-group, between us and them. Father Wang concludes his presentation by suggesting that a priority for mission in Asia should be mission among, with, and to the young of Asia. And he asks, how do we help young people discover and form a centered self, which will allow them to live the culture of encounter without fear, and thus engage positively with those who are different as fellow travelers, as partners in the building of an Asia and a world a little more like the kingdom of God? And now for the synthesis. There are 3 points to this synthesis. First, Missio Inter Gentes as the new direction of Missio Ad Gentes, understanding Inter Gentes, however, not as a replacement of, but as a complement to Ad Gentes. This is from the talk of Father Bevans. Secondly, another terminology may be adopted. For instance, a church which goes forth for Ad Gentes, and a church of closeness, listening, and encounter for Inter Gentes. And this is from Father Wang. And thirdly, mission is primarily the mission of the local church. And this is a point that was underlined in the talk of Father Yang. Now, this last point entails a new understanding of both the universal mission of the church and of cross-cultural mission. A new understanding of the universal mission of the church. As we saw in Father Bevan's talk, one of the nuances of Missio Ad Gentes was the coming to a local church of foreign missionaries sent from Christian Europe. On the other hand, the emergence of the notion of Missio Inter Gentes came precisely with the realization that mission today is no longer carried out principally by foreign missionaries, but by local missionaries. And this implies that the principal responsibility for mission now lies with the local church. And this entails a new understanding of the universal mission of the church. While traditionally this was understood as mission emanating from the center, Europe in general or Rome in particular, now it needs to be seen as mission emanating from every local church. Mission is universal not because it proceeds from a common center, but because it is carried out everywhere where there is a viable local church. And so the principal subject of mission is no longer the center in Europe or in Rome, but every local church in every continent. And this means that mission does not arise from a mandate coming from the center in Rome, but from the very fact of being church. In other words, the missionariness of the church arises not from an external mandate, but from the church's very nature. Indeed, with Missio Inter Gentes, the church is missionary not because the universal church based in Rome sends out missionaries to the whole world, but because each local church in all continents lives out its missionary vocation. Secondly, a new understanding of cross-cultural mission. This insight does not necessarily make foreign missionaries or cross-cultural missionaries irrelevant, just as it does not by any means invalidate the notion of missio ad gentes. Understanding the universal church as a communion of local churches, there will always be need for the presence of cross-cultural missionaries in the local churches. For the gospel of Jesus always brings something new to the local culture, and this newness is represented and offered by the presence of the missionary, the foreign missionary, or the missionary who is not native to the local culture. Indeed, the newness of the gospel is not something that any culture can reach or achieve on its own. It is fundamentally grace or gift from outside, and here lies the enduring validity of the notion of missio ad gentes. And so cross-cultural mission needs to be understood in a new way. No longer the coming from outside of missionaries with a superior culture and faith, but the partnership of missionaries who collaborate in mission despite their different experiences of the faith and the diversity of their cultures. In the universal communion of local churches, the relationship will be characterized not by paternalism but by fraternity, not by domination but by communion, not by superiority but by mutuality, not by power and control but by respect and mutual appreciation. This indeed is implied by a church that is truly synodal. Missio Inter Gentes therefore underlines the fact that while they may not be equal in material resources and possibilities, all local churches are nevertheless equal in Christian dignity and missionary responsibility. So after 500 years of Christianity in the country, the Philippine church is called to live out its missionary vocation. May she do so for the next 500 years. Thank you.